Hello, Frederic.
Hello.
And welcome to Walk in the Park podcast.
Thank you for inviting.
It's a big pleasure, and today is a special episode because it's a part of a Peace of Mind project, which is a pop-up exhibition and a podcast series about changemakers and innovators which are making a better society for all, as yourself. And we've been invited by Oslo Business Region and the Nobel Peace Center to run this episode, which will be also showcasing and during the exhibition in October here at Nobel Peace Center. So today I'm joined by Frederic Hauge, co-founder of Bellona Foundation, and you've been one of the pioneers to really start in this whole conversations for more than 3 decades ago about environmental responsibility, innovation, and a better society. And you've been on forefront not only in Norway but also shaping the global conversations around those topics. So we are looking forward today to jump into your personal story, your inspirations, your challenges, your proud moments, and also what it really means to build with mission. Let's walk.
Okay.
So, and usually the first question I actually ask if you do walk and talks often, if it's a part of your habit or culture.
Yeah, I like to be outdoors, so that's good.
Yeah, that's what we also try to do with this podcast, inspire people to not only do sitting meetings inside, but also to help them inspire and help them with shaping more creativity and do walking meetings. But the first question is about the beginning of Bellona Foundation. How was that for you? What was the personal inspiration or spark for you to start this whole movement?
No, it even started a little bit before Bellona because I was joining Nature and Use, a youth organization, and that time it was quite boring. It was a little bit looking at the frogs and the butterflies, and it was not so political. And then we started, that's many years ago, to make actions against dumping of waste in the sea from a titanium mine in southwest of Norway. I was 17 years old, and the reason was that we wanted to create a victory, because you don't win if you don't get people with you if you don't win sometimes, yeah. And that took a little bit longer time than expected. So a couple of years after, today it's 40 years ago, it was election in Norway, and we wanted to set environment on the agenda. So we climbed in a chimney at Norsk Hydro that had been polluting the ground for 5 years with the government knowing it without reacting. And that created a lot of mess and attention. And then a week before the election, I took a bulldozer and went through a fence and digged up 1,000 barrels of waste and poison. And that really put the environment on agenda. And we were discussing what we should do. Should we start Greenpeace? They asked us to do that. But in Norway, we need to work together with the fishermen. And that was impossible. And I had a little bit different views on some things also. And then after Chernobyl accident in '86, we decided to start Bellona. And that's what I've been doing since.
Yeah. And being 17 years old, why this topic came to your mind?
It was a couple of things, yeah, because you had big fight about the Ekaterina River hydropower plant in the north, which the environmental movement lost. And then we saw that young people didn't want to join Nature and Use because you lose. So we need to create a victory. And then one thing took another. When we first started, you could not stop, yeah.
How many co-founders were you then?
It was a board that was created, but it's me who is the founder of Bellona, yeah. It's been a long journey. At that time it was extremely important to put attention that we had a problem. But there's no need to just point at the problem if you cannot work with the solutions. That has been the journey after, yeah.
But following up on the bulldozer story, that's pretty brave move. How did you decide to do that, to really bring the attention?
No, we got tipped by some of the workers that there was a mess down there. And then it was just to rent a bulldozer and call the media. It was not very complicated.
This is so cool. It's kind of not very complicated, but people sometimes are afraid to be too much or whatever. But you was really all into, we need this attention, so we do whatever. Was that the motivation?
Yeah, we have long principles of what kind of actions we can make in Bellona and in the environment movement that should be non-violent and so on. And you should have a very good reason. So, but of course, yeah, this really put the environment topics on the agenda. 1 week before the election. So that was, especially in front of the next election, 4 years later, nobody of the politicians wanted to not be prepared. So that it really turned out to be a huge attention on what we did.
It's also the election period in Norway now.
Yeah.
Are you doing something special around that this year?
Yeah, you know, our job is to try to get all the different political parties to have an environmental policy. And we need a plurality in the discussion on what kind of solutions. So we try to prepare background, numbers, figures, strategies, and also knowledge about regulation. So that's one part. And then this year, we are focused very much on disinformation because we see that as the biggest showstopper now to get public acceptance for doing what's necessary. So we disclosed that there is a Russian setup with 700 AI accounts that is liking and disliking and different environmental energy, Arctic stuff, with more than 600,000 posts just with more than last year. So this is something that we have to deal with in another way.
Going a bit back to the beginning, to the 1986, you said, and the first years. Often I hear many stories from other type of founders of tech startups that the first years is often the most difficult because of different reasons, like self-doubts or am I on the right mission? What was your personal experiences during first years? What was the most difficult?
In the beginning, we grow so extremely fast. So to get administrative, economic routines, to get this kind of systems, that was the most complicated thing for us. We were environmental activists. Yeah, the first 4 years were quite active. We got arrested many times. We had big scandals. We took down Norwegian Hydro with an enormous amount of mercury that they had polluted. But you learned a lot, yeah.
But how was that personally for you, all those arrested and all this whole situation and resistance and everything? Was it even more motivation after that, or was it tough periods, or both?
I'm a quite relaxed person. But you know, it's in a way, it's a part of the job. It's not necessarily only me, it's something that I do because I have this as a job, and I do it the best I can. But of course, it was easier that time. It was only one television channel, yeah. Everyone looked at that, so we had a common platform. So if you were at the main news in the evening, everyone talked about what was on that news in the lunch afternoon. So today you need many hundreds of articles or things like that to get the same attention or massive momentum that we got. So, but we got people with us. We got sympathy. And then we have tried to use that sympathy for being a little bit rebellion and activistic to also find the solutions, yeah, because you can dig up waste and then the company asks, yeah, so what's your recommendation to do with it? And then you need to have a solution, if not you're off game.
Talking about being a rebel, was it who you were always since you were a kid?
No, I'm not necessarily a troublemaker, but I'm used and I'm grown up to think myself, yeah, and make my own point of views and standpoints. So this may be also a little bit grown on me step by step, because you learn by doing. So if you're not a very stressful person, you can learn by doing.
But that was your first company you started, right?
Yeah, the foundation, yeah, Bellona. Yeah.
You haven't done any like entrepreneurship experiences before during high school or whatever?
No, I didn't manage to finish high school. I started Bellona.
Yeah, that's
Kid,
interesting.
yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So was it something you knew from the early age as well? You will be building something, or was it just happened because you felt the need, the problem?
It was because there was a momentum. It was a possibility to take a space in the public discussion that had been undercommunicated and underfocused for years. And there was also a space for having maybe, even if we're tough in our actions, we went to the companies after we break in and discussed how to clean it and how to solve it, yeah? And we were not in conflict with the police. After they had arrested us, we discussed how to investigate environmental crime. They are just doing their job. So And then also we spent a lot of time sailing around the coast and meet people where they live, visit the factories, and use the boat as a kind of floating district office. And that's also a way people like when you take the time and come and visit their local society and listen to what's the challenges here. And if you stay on the boat, you get so much more information than if you stay in a hotel, because people doesn't come and knock at the hotel door, to tell you all the secrets. But if you're in the harbor in the boat, you get to learn a lot.
Very interesting. Along the way, do you remember the day when you really first time felt this is working, this is really making a real difference? Or was it with you, no doubt, all the time?
I know that we have made a difference, and I know some momentums which have been extremely important for me, and it's of course motivating. But I think I have an approach here that we are in a way privileged. We can work with important things, and we are living in a country that's extremely rich. So if we can make examples that create precedents, not only for Norway, and try to focus on the big things, then I have done something better than not doing anything. So I'm privileged to be able to work with this.
Through all those years, also like starting, building, growing, making it global, you've been probably changing a bit your roles inside the company.
Absolutely, one of my privileges has been, to be able to start up teams that can follow up and establish platforms that has a long-term perspective. And that is what we did when we started to work in Soviet Union, and I was very active there. And then we built a team that was really good experts until we got into trouble. And that's what we're doing now with the Center for Marine Restoration up in Lofoten. I work a lot with the concept development, but there's so many young, clever people that should do the job. I can only help facilitating and nudge with my experience and try to make the frame for working for these guys as best as possible.
Great leadership mindset to allow to make.
The question is how good I am at practicing it,
Yeah,
not
that's what I want to ask. What do you think about yourself as a leader?
It's always room for improvement there.
But you love being kind of that type of person, inspiring and empowering others and giving others the opportunity to build?
Yeah, I like building myself too, but the last years Bellona has grown so much, and we got very many new, very clever people, and it's important to make, and I spent some quite of time now to make, we call it the Bellona way, the methodology, based of course on 40 years experience, what works and what doesn't work. And we have a quite huge process now in changing again. My challenge is also to challenge the organization at least every 5 years. And that's of course very frustrating for people.
But you still keep doing that because you know that's kind of healthy and that's good, right?
If not, I get bored.
Qualities of an entrepreneur and the person who are building and creating. And you've mentioned yours. I'm a relaxed person. What other qualities you believe is important for someone like you who is building a company or bigger in a company, like creating?
Depends a little bit what you're going to do. If you're going to start a battery company, for example, be good at chewing glass. It's heavy. In Norway, we're extremely risk averse. And we need to allow people to do mistakes, but not twice the same mistake. And if you don't dare to start up and if you don't dare to fail, you should not be in the game. Because it's a part of the game to also fail. Things takes time, much longer than you think. Much longer.
How do you live with that? Is it frustrating?
No, but I have no other plans. This is what I'm going to do anyway. So I have the time and try to spend the time as good as I can to create results and difference. And Bellona is today, there are 80 employees in 4 different countries, and that's quite a lot of things to manage there. And then we have this Bellona holding where we take care of the commercial activities, because we don't only want to talk, we want to do action. So we started, for example, a company for growing seaweed together with the Lerøy, a fish farming company. And today we are the biggest producer of seaweed in Europe, yeah. And we also have been partnered with the Sahara Forest project where we pump seawater into the desert into a greenhouse we have developed in Jordan, which is a new way of producing food. Quite big scale thinking, yeah?
Yeah, really cool.
So then we have started the battery company Morrow, and we have also started now a financial company because we need to move thousands of billions of dollars from dirty investments into clean investments, and we see the existing finance companies as very slow and not up to date in what's going on at all. So it's quite pluralistic, different views, ways of making actions, but we are just going to create results. That's our job.
Just take care of there is no tram, yeah, before we cross.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned all those different type of businesses, companies, initiatives inside Bellona, it's pretty big diversity. So how do you structure all those, and who is initiating that? Is it you, like initiate new things and set up new, or is there internal kind of entrepreneurship initiatives, people taking initiatives and doing, and you supporting?
It's when we see that is in a way, there was no one else doing it in Europe. When we started with electrical cars, they laughed at us. That's also creating good environment, but 50% of the cars now in China are sold with electric, yeah? We have a team in Bellona that's extremely clever. There were discussions when we started Bellona Holding if that was right and so on, but that's 10 years, 15 years now ago, and I think we get a lot of response that we are not just talking, but that we also try to do, and not just complaining, but fix the problems.
Also interesting topic about taking decisions and how do you know what decision is right. You said when we were starting the foundation, we were not sure. But what made you know that that was the right decision? How do you take decision, you personally? Gut feeling?
No, but you know, when the idea is still good when you wake up in the morning, it's better than the evening before. And then it has to go a little bit around in the head. You know, my problem is that I don't get very easily scared. That's sometimes good, sometimes bad, but my experience is that you can make a difference, yeah? So of course, when I started in 2015, I was, are we going to start this battery stuff? It's going to be complicated. But I mean, I cannot end up sitting and making comments at Facebook on what I've done before or commenting other people. And it could not be so much more complicated than cleaning up the nuclear waste that we did in Russia. So you have to compare and you have to evaluate what should I use my life for?
But are you good and quick at taking decisions, or you usually need some time to process?
I have a life where I sometimes have to make decisions extremely fast. So you have to be able to that. But of course, to concept development, yeah, that takes time. It's just not go in there and so then you need to take time to develop it, and you maybe have to put it away for a week and then read it again, and so then it takes a little bit time to prepare the platform for the decisions.
You just mentioned you brought the first electrical car in Norway, and that was 1989. What gave you the kind of the courage, and how did you know you need to do that, want to do that? How did you find out about that?
No, but again, you can point at the problem, but you need to find the solutions. And our slogan is a little bit from pollution to solution. It's quite simple out from physics. It's only batteries and hydrogen that is the energy carrier that could run a car. Theoretically, I maybe could run it also on compressed air or ammonia, but ammonia is quite similar to hydrogen. We wanted to have an optimistic view that you didn't need to stop visiting your grandma because the environmental movement was in general more against cars, yeah? But of course the car didn't go very long, it was 50-60 kilometers. Yeah, but you know, we are punishing, and that's good. We have a high CO2 tax on fuel in Norway, but we should have carrots for what's good. And so we demanded that we should have no VAT taxes, that we should be possible to drive in the bus lane, no parking fee. So we drive in the bus lane, and we didn't pay in the road toll, and we parked without paying, and then you get the fines. And if you don't pay the fine, they come and confiscate the car. But there was not so many other people interested in buying the car going 50, 60 kilometers. And the car auction was outside the road toll. So we always got it back and got a new fine when we drive it back to the office. So that took 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah, I think that car was confiscated and fined 17 times or something like that. So we were quite stubborn. And we did this together with the pop group a-ha, so we got a lot of attention. And then things started to change in 2009 when there come some more cars, and then it was the bus lane that was important for people. And then Tesla come and it exploded. Today it's 100% car sale.
You already told us about so many cool, bold moves around creating attention and hype. So how was that? Was that just happened? Or did you have like a communication team or PR team or marketing team or strategy working towards we need to make a lot of noise and hype that people write about us, or it just happened naturally?
I think we are quite self-made in many ways, yeah. And sometimes it's just mathematics and physics. It's quite good parameters to, if you have a good case, you get the attention you need. The communication can never do a bad case good. In reality, it can make it look good, yeah? So I think we have tried to not, so many people who has an idea or they have interest in this technology and so on. We don't have that. Our job is to just fix it, and if it's that, or we can put things together, we do that. And that means that we're quite good at system solutions, not only single solutions in Bellona, and that is also making our interesting for the industry and business. And of course, we have a huge cooperation program with the industry because they know what kind of framework that's needed. If you go to the politicians, I know the answer. That's taxes, and then it's taxes, and then it's more taxes. Mm-hmm. And this also do that we avoid going into our own echo chamber, because we get challenged by talking with people that have different views,
different opinions,
than us. And that again, like when we started to work with carbon capture and storage, that was in 92, 93. It's a really long time. It was no one else. It was someone in the industry, and it was some scientist, and it was us. So if you just sit in your room and try to be as politically correct as possible, you don't achieve that. You need to go out and talk with people that have different views and different narratives than you.
What about you personally? You mentioned now at least two different target groups, the corporates and the politicians. So you personally, who you like to work best with?
No, but that's not a question, because you have to work with both, and you have to work with. It's the work we do with civil society, industry, politicians, and science together, where you connect the dots. That's important, and to be honest, there is by far too few people connecting the dots. We need knowledge of that.
What can we do about that? How can we have more people of connecting the dots?
Very many who has a political approach needs to calm down and start to not vote and talk. And the society becomes extremely polarized. I can make conflicts, yeah. I've done it myself. But I'm quite shocked on the wording, how we talk with each other, what's happening in social media, and the anger. And of course, I can provoke myself. I did that last winter, yeah, and then people get really angry at me. But we should still be able to talk. And people are so angry. We don't need to be that. At least not in Norway. We are extremely privileged.
What do you see in the young generation, who are now at school, high school, and those ages? Do you feel they are different from people in our generations in terms of being proactive, provocating, connecting dots, and more communicating?
Hopefully, that's called evolution. I think we had huge attention on the Fridays for Future, Greta Thunberg, Extinction Rebellion, and so on. And that is bouncing very heavily back, because even if some of the description on what's going on and what will be the consequences of climate change could be right, it's something when you're saying, oh, it's no need to have the climate talks because it doesn't help. You're making actions against windmills that young people think is the solution. And you create a forum for apathy. You paved the red carpenter for some kind of extremism too, which the environment movement really need to consider how to approach. Because if young people become apathic, then they become populistic. If the train goes to hell, you want to travel in the first class. And apathy and populism very often leads to extremism on both sides. And when we are making lessons at schools and talking with young people, if you talk to them and telling North Pole is melting, that's the reason why it's a war. They go and scroll on the mobile telephone very soon because they know this. But when I talk with them, what we do with batteries, or how we make the desert green, or how we do sea farming of seaweed, and this kind of solutions, they're listening, because this represents options to have a job. And if they could dream that they could fix the environment problem and be stinking rich, I'm super happy. So the way the environmental movement has talked to young people is quite damaging, and we very often forget that we need to get people with us.
I really love that point of view, and also I see that I talk to a lot of young entrepreneurs which are just fresh from the masters, starting companies, and the mindset change I see is that they don't only think about earning money, but they also want to make an impact, and many of them thinking about climate and not really thinking, but as you say, solutions, they are doing something. And this is really great to see. And so, as you say, hope.
Well, we are heading against quite dramatic climate change, and we're going to communicate that. And at the same time create optimism and engagement and hope. So that is one of the most complicated communication tasks in the world.
Feels great probably for you to be a really big part of that.
I'm privileged in being able to do what I'm doing, even if I maybe work a little bit too much and so on. So yeah, I hope that Bellona's 40 years history can show young people that if you fight hard, become serious and pragmatic, we can achieve results. We opened the carbon capture plant at Brevik at Heidelberg Cement this summer. It's never been there without Bellona. And before that, we didn't have a proven solution for 8% of the global CO2 emissions. Now we get proven technology that has the theoretical potential to take 8%. Now it will be on a waste incinerator in Oslo. That's 4% global that we can know. And that makes me a little bit more or less ashamed coming from this little nice selfish petroleum country earning all this money on fossil fuel, if we can take the early mover and risk taker cost to develop technology and bring down the price that it's affordable for the rest of the world.
Working on this big, meaningful mission for you personally, and as you just said yourself, you're working a lot. You've been working a lot all those years. I usually ask, how do people take care of themselves?
Now, I have some very beautiful kids, so we have a lot of fun. And then I love sailing. I love to be at the sea. So if I can do that and be at my boat and come out there, that's
That's how you recharge?
That's Just now I've been fixing my boat for the last 1.5 years, but now it's at the sea again. So it's been hard work there too. No, but you know, I enjoy working.
I see that.
But good friends and good family, and some hidden places to hide when you need, and also now we have got this Center for Marine Restoration up in northern Norway, because that's one of the biggest ecological disasters in Europe. What's going on with the sea urchins eating up all the kelp. And now we're developing new methodology and strategies for solving this problem. And to be able to be up there and work in the northern part of Norway and also enjoy. Because we must remember that we have some extremely beautiful nature that we're going to take care of. Everything is not black and doomed. So I get a lot of inspiration of that too, even if it's work.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about role models. So have you been having through your journey a role model or a situation which really inspired you, or a role model who you believe helped shaped you who you are today?
I met many different people during my way, and they have inspired me and learned me in their different ways. It's the people with staying power, yeah, that do it for a long fight, not come up with a good idea and get 15 minutes of fame, and because I see a lot of that. A lot of campaigning and stunts and so on the environmental topic, and it's mostly using up and taking away the attention of the real things.
Since you mentioned your beautiful kids, what do you think about fatherhood and entrepreneurship together? And was there anything you learned from being a father, which you also implemented into the building the company?
Not being angry. That doesn't help. No, I think for me it's been important that they see that it's a good case. I'm not making nuclear weapons, I'm trying to fix something, and I'm not doing this for the money, but for a task, and they are loving to be out in nature too, so they have an understanding. And that's important with that kind of acceptance when you're going to work 18 hours a day. Yeah?
What advice would you give your own children?
But the answer is work hard, don't sneak, don't mess it up, do it the honest way, whatever you do. That's the only thing.
And when they were choosing what they want to do, were they asking you for the advice?
Some of them maybe, but I try to make them responsible. It's not my advice, they need to do their own decisions. Yeah?
How do you do that? Tell them go and choose yourself?
They find out themselves, yeah.
Yeah. Are they working on the same, you see them working on the same mission as you do?
I don't talk so much about my family, but yes. I'm representing in a way the Bellona and never been into this showing up with my family or all this private stuff. Yeah? That's not my job.
So what do you feel is the proudest moment for you personally?
There is different ways of experiencing, yeah. But we got really into trouble in Russia. We got very heavy charges against Bellona and one of our employees. So we fought against accusations on high treason, and he was in prison and in principle risked death penalty, still a kid in. And of course, the day we won after 7 years and 17 court cases and got him free. But of course, when we opened the carbon capture facility in Brevik on Heidelberg, on the cement factory, I know that is a result of our job. I think that's cool. Yeah, that was also a good feeling. And then just to drive around and see all the electric cars in Norway, I know we have made a difference there too. But all that is yesterday. It's just proof that we can achieve results. I still have many years left to do new things, so I look most forward to do that.
Thank you so much for joining
Pleasure.
and for sharing your journey, and also look forward to see what else Bellona Foundation and also all the other people and organizations around, inspired by you, will do together towards the big mission. Thank you so much.